The last couple months, I felt like I'm in a Western. When I'm in the rig over shoulder, I've experienced the good, the bad, and the ugly. That is because when I built this rig, I spent over $3,000 of my hard-earned shekels investing in the entire Simagic ecosystem. And in this video, I'd like to share the experience, the highs and the lows. To not increase your chance of getting diabetes by sugarcoating anything, to get the bluff or bottom line up front, in 2025, Simagic is making tremendous, phenomenal, dare I say some of the best bang for buck sim racing gear that you can pick up. However, their software is a little lackluster in the feature set as well as the user interface, but that could be changed with patches and updates down the road. But if you're on the dating scene and you're looking for red flags, their red flag by far has got to be their customer support reputation. If you are in the market to buy Simagic equipment, it would behoove you to watch the video, preferably in its entirety to get my view minutes up and also stuff you with the most amount of information possible. But if you're only looking for one thing, you were just saying their customer support reputation is a shitter, I'll jump to that section. I want to hear about that wheelbase. There is timestamps, chapters if you will, so you can jump around on the timeline of the video. Without further ado, let's get this long overdue review underway. So a quick disclaimer to my audience, none of this gear was sent for review. I did purchase it with my hard-earned shekels. If you do want to support the channel and pick up some threads to cover your nips and will probably get you hit on profusely, I did drop 17 designs that I personally designed. Pretty sick, if I do say so. I'm wearing one right now. So this is the official Simagic website. I do believe it is trying to load a high-resolution photo that is not popping up. We'll blame my internet. Steering wheels. They've got some pretty damn good options in every discipline of racing, whether you're GT, Formula, Drift, Rally. They also do have hubs. So if you want to buy wheels and then screw them into the center part, the hub, the button box, as some people call it, that is an option for you. And then they do also have complete wheels such as the GTS and the Neo, which I compared to the Moza KS. Wheelbases is sorted from lowest to highest price is going to be the Alpha Mini, which is the wheelbase I selected. In hindsight, I do kind of wish I would have popped for the Alpha because it makes a better long-term. If I ever learn how to put muscle back on my body and do gain strength back, that Mini might not be doing it for me. Having said that, to spoil a little bit of the wheelbase section, the Mini does over-deliver its estimated 10 Newton meters of peak torque in my personal opinion. Simagic just released a new model lineup of wheelbases called the Evo, short for Evolution, which their key features is ultra low inertia servo motor with zero cogging tech, a new 21-bit encoder. To shoot it to you straight, the Ultimate is probably the wheelbase that doesn't make the most sense unless you're super jacked or somebody that is concerned about clipping headroom, which if you have your settings done correctly in things like iRacing, you should be able to feel the force feedback you desire without clipping, even with the Alpha Mini. Having said that, the Alpha is a better long-term wheelbase as it does stretch to 15 Newton meters of peak torque. As for pedals, the P1000s are by far the most popular, most frequently talked about. P2000s are probably good too. That's a higher number. They're more expensive, more flagship. I don't have any experience with these. I do own the 1000s, specifically the RS model down here, which comes pre-installed with the hydraulic upgrade or hop-up kit. And that is something that needs mentioned about the Simagic pedals as they are on a modular ecosystem. So you can buy the P1000 stockers, a 2-pedal config, and then as you want, you can add RGB light strips or an extra pedal or invert them or add haptic vibration or a hydraulic reservoir to give more stiffness. I purchased this pretty expensive shifter, which I'll be raving about as I do love it. The TB1 handbrake, I don't hate it. I do think the Moza offering for the price is better. The TBRS is a, you guessed it, hydraulic handbrake. Why you would need this? You don't, but it might feel nice to have that extra resistance if you're fucking jacked. They do also have a sequential shifter, which I did not know about. Shit. Their accessories. This is important because you're gonna want to upgrade the gear that you've bought, most likely. The HPR is this haptic rumble vibration motor that you put on the back of your pedals. You can attach these to third-party pedals from other companies, but you'll need some kind of an adapter to make it work. The Simagic pedals are meant to work with these. They bolt right up. You will require one power supply, no matter if you're running 1, 2, or 3 of these. Simagic.com bundles the power supply with it, but if you're shopping at SimShop, the US vendor, you need to throw this in your cart separately. You could actually check out without buying the power supply. It arrives to you and you're like, oh God, I can't use it. These are mounting brackets for the wheelbases. Really nice that they have so many versatile options for mounting to different cockpits or rigs. These were included with my RS pedals, but I don't believe they are included included with the regular 1000s, as this is a $20 pop-up kit. Speaking of hop-up, $140 if you want to go hydraulic, or buy the RS if you know you want to go hydraulic down the road, because it looks cleaner having it manufacturer installed in that clean housing, and you don't have to do it yourself. MagLink is their adapter. Don't get too excited because this only works with a very small, where's it at? It doesn't, one of their wheels. Carbon fiber heel riser, that is only for the P2000s. I almost accidentally got this. Shaft extender if you're using their hub because it has a cord or wire swinging behind it. These are really cool. They threw in like 4 or 5 of these with my box that I don't think I paid for. They were just like, oh, this guy spent a shitload of money at our site. This guy spent a ton of money on our gear. Throw him some sugar. These are awesome. Overlaying some B-roll right now. These use typical T-nuts to mount to a profile rig, so you can have wheels hanging off your cockpit. This Keep Racing heel stop, I think, is just a little too, it looks ugly in my personal opinion. I wrap mine with carbon fiber vinyl wrap. Think it looks a little better. The long throttle pedal I did purchase. I love it. I absolutely love it. You have 2 pretty good looking RGB options. I don't have either yet, but I might get the SimRay bar down the road. They have some shift knobs that are actually reasonably priced. Emergency kill switch. This doesn't turn off your wheelbase, completely disconnecting you from the game, but it cuts power to the motor. So if you got a finger caught up in there or something, could save you. But this does not work with the Alpha Mini, only the Alpha and up. This is their CAN extender, which allows you to use it as a USB hub, saving ports to your PC. Would you be surprised to hear that I also bought this? You've got 3 wheels in my possession and reviewed in this video. I am parked in the simulator. I'll make eye contact with you in just a second, so you can get a view of what I experience when I'm sitting in the cockpit staring at all the Simagic equipment. So we're gonna go through surgery real quick, and your eyes are gonna become my eyes. This is the most inexpensive wheelbase from Simagic, so in essence, everything else in the lineup should be better than this Alpha Mini, which is only rated at 10 Newton meters of peak torque. However, after using the Moza R9 V2 and the Logitech G Pro, which is the direct drive wheelbase I've had the longest, that bad boy is rated at 11 Newton meters of peak torque, and I do believe Logitech's right on the money with that. As where Simagic is underclaiming and over-delivering with the peak strength, I haven't reached a point where I'm craving more peak strength yet, and when I do, that's definitely going to be the point where I'm kicking myself in the scrot wondering, why did you not buy the Alpha? No, that is a better long-term wheelbase, as it can go up to 15 Newton meters. The Alpha U can snap your wrist at any given time. Now, what just dropped is the Evo. I am extremely excited for those. Not only do they have RGB, which but they sport some practical, usable features that I personally find exciting. So down the road, if the Mini's not doing it for me, there might be an Evo review. We're gonna get the cons, shortcomings, or areas of improvement out of the way, because there truly is not very many of them. Cosmetically, having the plugs on the side is not the prettiest, and I have heard the explanation that that is because you can get it right up against a monitor. But as long as the plugs are on the bottom and not the top of the back, that's not really a problem. The Moza R9, which is the wheelbase I was sporting directly before this one, was mounted in the exact same position right up against my front monitor, and that has the ports and plugs on the back. So if you're somebody that cares about a crisp appearance, maybe you're a YouTuber or something and your setup's gonna be seen on camera, it is nicer to have the plugs and ports on the back. Simagic has probably heard that feedback from more gums than mine, and the Evo has the ports on the back. There's a LED light that stares you in the face constantly. Now I have a little carbon tape on here, which is super noticeable on camera with all this light shining on it, but in the dark, I can't even tell that their carbon plate ends here and the sticker starts there. I'll probably tidy this up with a razor, but in the meantime, crudely stuck this sticker on there. There's no reason to have a status light on, because if you lose power to your wheelbase, you're gonna know immediately. Speaking of power to the wheelbase, I keep mine powered on 24/7, kind of like a nightlight. No convenient way of turning this wheelbase off. Power plug, not a kill switch, but an actual power plug, somewhere on the wheelbase, maybe on the back of it or something. It's actually, it's way down here underneath that cable tray. So it's just really not convenient to have to pop the top on that Pringles box every time I'm, you know, all sweaty and tired after a sim session. I just leave it on all the time. And that leads me to another problem. There is a hum, a buzz, a mechanical, almost sounds like a GPU whine or something. An electrical hum or hiss that comes out of this wheelbase, which I've personally never heard on any other direct drive wheelbase. The Alpha series wheelbases have been lauded, praised. It's rightfully so. They are impressive, especially for the price. I'm very satisfied with my Mini, very excited to check out the Evo. I say that as I move on to the pros, since we've covered those cons. There are many mounting options, which is fantastic. You can do front mount, side mount, or a typical take her from the bottom, you know, ride me cowgirl kind of, here, check it out. Boop. torque. Other than the peak strength feeling above what is advertised, the finite details are phenomenal. I haven't done any tweakage to the settings, such as the dampening, fancy sliders that I'm glad are there. The out-to-the-box feeling with the Alpha Mini, fantastic. You feel all those finite details, ripples in the road, when you're about to break traction, when traction's already gone on you, stuff like that. With the Alpha Mini only being rated at 10 Newton meters of peak strength, you might be worried about clipping. A better man and YouTuber named Dan Suzuki did a phenomenal torture test that I personally wouldn't want to do with my wheelbase, where he purposely ran it at some pretty ridiculous settings, really pummeling and punishing that sucker. It took it like an absolute champ. I'm not going to spoil any of the results. You should probably watch the original video. It will be cited down there in the description below. My settings for iRacing are on screen here, and I personally never peak or clip. The first time I launched iRacing, I actually shared the vlog of my first couple practice races. I was clipping like nobody's business because I was using the default iRacing settings, but now that I have tweaked the sliders, I never peak. Even when I'm mid-corner, the wheel is fully loaded up, giving me that resistance, or even in a crash case scenario, no peaking or clipping, and it gives me plenty of strength in iRacing. Arcadey style games like Tokyo Extreme Racer, Grid Legends, and Dirt, not Dirt Rally, which is also great, but just Dirt, the arcadey one, this still feels fantastic. Strength-wise, I only need to set this bad boy at about 70, 80% of its strength usually. In iRacing, I do crank it to 100 in the Simagic software and then do my settings in iRacing. Now that the Evo series is out, if you can catch a deal or start seeing these bad boys on some kind of a sale, you should grab your pogo stick and jump at that, because these are a good value at their current asking price. So whatever they're gonna drop to, yes ma'am. So when the wheelbase is disconnected from power, turned off, there is some rippling or cogging present, but then as soon as you plug it in or turn it on, that gets electronically smoothed out. There's resistance there, but it is completely smooth now. There is no rippling or cogging. Put you in your usual spot, move you down. Pedals. You're pretty impressive yourself. I think the piece of the Simagic puzzle I am most impressed with is their pedals, which is good because you can use them with other ecosystems, with other equipment, as a standalone plugging directly into the PC. What you see in front of you is a fully upgraded set of P1000 RSs, hydraulically assisted, so she's stiff, but as you can see, a wire running down to a port or plug directly in the base itself, which is fantastic. And that goes to their haptic vibration motor, which you can see I have one on the brake pedal. You can get those for all three pedals. In my personal opinion, it only makes sense on the brake because that is the pedal that indeed would be juddering as you lock up ABS, or changing feeling when you completely lock up in a car that does not have ABS. So I personally would recommend the P1000s because that is the base entry-level model, the cheapest version, and they are completely modular. So if you want to add things like the haptic vibration motor, which is the part or component I recommend the most. Pretty inexpensive, reasonably priced, I would say. And you can use them on third-party pedals, any manufacturer's pedals, although you need to plug an external power brick in, and it's not going to be as cleanly ran as if you're running the native Simagic hardware, which has a port for each pedal, not only for the vibration motor, but also if you're going to do RGB strips and accent lighting. Speaking of things that they do sell, the extended throttle pedal. I cannot recommend this enough. It comes down to personal preference for sure. It was on sale for 20 bucks, so if I didn't like it, I could just uninstall it and shove it somewhere where the sun don't shine. You rest your heel right about there, sweetheart, and you can just... Do you want the brake? You want a little throttle too? It's there for you. It's can raise or lower the position of all three of the pedals with those two screws. The RSs did come with a pouch, an accessory Ziploc bag full of elastomers, springs, and accessories. I'm running the stock out of the box configuration, and it feels insane. The clutch is so satisfying. You feel like a bite point right there where you can modulate around it. It took some getting used to the stiff initial take up on the brake, but I love that now. And going back to pedals like my Logitech G Pros, this feels like a real start stiff and then stays stiff all the way through the press. Oh god. Throttle's unbelievably smooth, no dead spots. They're recognized in every game and sim I've played, and I love them. The pedals are great. Cosmetically, they're pretty gaudy at first with this keep racing in red. I did vinyl wrap mine with a little roll of goodness I found on Amazon. That'll be linked in the description below, as I think it looks really good considering they already rock carbon fiber, all their stuff. Well, I told you the pedals were my favorite favorite part of the set, and I wasn't trying to lie to you. I think the DSX8 shifter, did I say that right? Their shifter, it might be tied with their pedals for, damn, you should have this in your setup. So I don't have a huge comparison base for shifters. I'll run you through what I've used and do currently have, so you know what I'm coming from. I got the metal Moza 6-speed H-gate, the plasticky Logitech shifter that's been around since the Civil War, and recently the Turtle Beach Velocity shifter, which I was actually pretty impressed with. This, substantially more expensive than all those options at over $300, is phenomenal, and what I really like about it, for one, the way it feels when you're rowing through the gears, but it's an H-gate and a sequential, and switching on the fly, boom, satisfying click. Now I'm Travis Pastrana whipping through the trees towards you for up a gear, away from you for down a gear. You know how sequential works. And the resistance on it is crisp. Back in that H-gate form one time. So you do have access to 6 gears without doing anything special, but to get into reverse, you're gonna pull up to get to the lockout. Boom. And then you also have a 7 and 8 gear, which are locked out with this little pulley boy. And once you're over here, I can let go of this and I can actually go from 7 to 8 without grabbing this thing. But when I go back to the neutral position, lockout engages again. This pleasure port is important because stick a Allen key, little hex tool in there, and that adjusts your tension. So if you want stiffer shifts, that's how you do it. But when you switch it into sequential, if you have it too taut, it will actually stick. And that was my experience. I had to taper it back a quarter rotation. When I would pull back and let go, it would stay stuck backwards. I could push it forward with my hand, but I wanted to be able to just, you know, boop, boop, you know. As with their wheelbases, you do have mounting options aplenty, screw holes here, some on the bottom. I haven't been down there in a while. Let me know what my undercarriage looks like. The shift knob is also universal. You can rotate it off and add your own. This is a real carbon fiber puppy. It will be linked in the description below. This is the stock shift knob. It is good, not great. It's got a nice weight to it, but the thing I didn't like is right here on the top, there's some kind of a machining defect where it's got a little bit of pitting and you feel that in your palm. So this smooth sucker, I mean, this honestly looks like this should come with the sucker. This is cool. It's a little backup in case this explodes. As for the can extender adapter plastic brick thingy, you might be wondering, what the hell does it do? It allows you to plug in accessories in the EcoSystem directly into your wheelbase, so you can save USB ports on your PC tower. So the stock wheelbase can accept a can plug for your pedals. In fact, I'm using the can pass-through right now, but if you want any Mo gear, for example, I have the H-gate shifter, that is supported. So while I'm not gonna run this right now, I'd only be saving one USB port, and I have a ton on my motherboard IO on the back. I'm glad I have this now in case it goes up in price or anything. I just have it on tap. I might want to extend my Simagic ecosystem, and I can do that. So this is the TB1 handbrake, the more affordable option from Simagic. Me not being a professional sim drifter or anything, the ripstick is the piece of my kit that I logically am going to use the least. Oh, what the hell? It looks like some scented wax splattered up on my wall. I can't see that to my naked eye, but it shows up clear as day on the camera. I'll be scraping some paint later. Laser cut foam in here, keeping your product in place. The handbrake is not bad by any means. I do like the fact that you can adjust the tension and the mounting options. Fitment wise, it was bumping up against my button box over there, even swaying that arm. It was also causing a side-to-side conflict, a lateral problem, I guess you could say, with the shifter I was using at the time. So that petite body of the Moza makes it fit more small, taut cockpit areas. And this being slightly more expensive didn't feel more premium to me personally, and I did like the cosmetics of the Moza more, and the fact that it actually worked with my setup. That shit. Work with what you got. Build quality super premium. You got billet aluminum, and then you got this foam wrapped grip, which feels okay. I personally think the all metal Moza option feels better. This does come with stickers, which is cool, but you will need to invest in that $17 can adapter if you want to save a USB port. Quick little feature comparison. You do have adjustable strength or tension with this screw, which you do not have on the Moza. You actually need to change out these springs if you want to change the tension. Mounting options are pretty similar. You do have 4 screw holes on the bottom of the Moza, and then you have technically 8 on the bottom. You have 4 here and then another 6. More mounting options on the Simagic. More adjustability with the angle is going to let the Moza fit in more cockpits. We'll need to use a separate USB port to your PC, as where this, if you're using a Moza wheelbase, can connect directly into the wheelbase. Their quick release system is phenomenal. I can probably do it one-handed here. Oh, nope, almost pinched my finger in there too. That would have been a lawsuit. I don't know against who, but the quick release system is an NRG style, kind of like what you get on the Moza, except it's red, not black. The GT Neo, which I just mounted to the wheelbase, I'm not going to talk about here because I did do a comparison to the Moza KS wheel, and I feel like anything that I'm going to say here was answered in that video. I actually did choose the Moza KS over there, and that really came down to two things for me personally. The shift lights were more visible and actually worked consistently, and the grips, which you're holding constantly, have this little seam or crease, which I usually wear gloves, but the few times I do go barehanded, you really do feel that. As we're on the Moza, the soft supple rubber, you don't even feel that little seam or crease. But there are a ton of aspects, parts, individual things, like these metal dials, that I do prefer on the Simagic over the Moza, so you might want to check that video out as well. The GTS wheel, while I like it, damn near love it, want more of it, I would recommend getting the leather version because the suede started looking like this after the first week, and this was with bare hands. This was before I was using gloves. I know somebody was probably going to say, well, those aren't typical sim racing gloves. Those are like mechanic style gloves. There's nothing jagged or sharp there, and they look badass. You got a USB-C plug over here. That's just for updates. You cannot use this wheelbase on other manufacturers' stuff. You can with the GT Neo. You can use their hub or adapter. Works with the GT Neo only. I'm not a big fan of the fact that the GTS only comes with paddle shifters and no analog paddles down here that you could use as handbrake and clutch and rally, or maybe throttle and brake if you have a disability or something. And I also do not believe you can add those on to the GTS, which you can on the hubs, and I have done. Paddles later, it gets its own review, as it is a very impressive kit, to be honest. So the suede started busting apart at the seams after about the first week, but it has not gotten any worse than it did after the first week. So it kind of got blown out and just stayed blown out. Stitching is fine. It's coming apart a little bit right there. And this dyed leather part looks and feels not the best, which is fine. I don't sit here holding the 12 o'clock position like I'm cruising in a 6.4 Impala or anything. Here, I'll snap you on there, baby. You hold yourself on there. I'm gonna use my thumb and I'm gonna push. No, I'm not. More of a two-handed operation. A big complaint with Simagic wheels, as I own 2 wheels and then their hub with 3 wheels to go with that, is the shift lights have quite a bit of issues in my personal experience. Multiple sims where I'll be playing a set of Corsa and I'll launch a modded car. Doesn't work with the shift lights. Or I'll be playing iRacing. I'm in the middle of a real race. My shift lights don't work. Buttons do feel quite satisfying. A little bit loud, but you're not going to hear that over the commotion of your rig. A little bit of side-to-side wiggle or play there. That's not the nicest. There's also a sticker kit. I have not installed any just because I use different bindings for so many different sims and games. Just like the GT Neo, which I pitted against the Moza KS, the analog sticks, which there is a left and right, I use them to navigate through menus and look around the car cockpit. They do drop into a 4-way gate, kind of like a D-pad on a controller, not a free-flowing wheel like an analog stick or thumbstick. They do also turn, rotate, and that did have support in every simulator that wow, your hand's washed out. There we go. In every simulator I simulated in. The finish looks and feels quite nice. Branding, not super gaudy. That'd be cool if this was black or gray. That's plastic, in case you were wondering. These knobs rotate, of course, but they also click in. Bet you didn't expect that. The paddles are phenomenal. These come pre-installed. You don't have to add them yourself. These are virtually silent paddles and feel phenomenal. They're also machined beautifully. You're not going to cut yourself on it or anything. Quiet on the uptake, quiet dampener as well. So the GTS wheel, I would recommend it, but perhaps get the leather option unless you are going to be wearing gloves or you don't mind feeling this bumpy section. I call this my fun drawer. I got some of my toys in it. There it is. Admittedly, I do have the least amount of track time with the hub versus the GT Neo and the GTS round wheel. However, I still have about 10 hours with this wheel. And in that regard, this one has stood up the most, where there is zero real signs of wear. And I do think that's because this is the leather variant rather than suede or rubber like the other 2 wheels. I plan to do a more in-depth comprehensive review of this wheel and this wheel alone when I have more track time with it. But this is a Simagic review and I have the hub in front of me, so I'm gonna share my thoughts. This feels phenomenal in comparison to the other two. This is metal, not plastic. And this section, despite being plastic, doesn't offend me by any means. These LED dibbly dots are slightly bigger than the other two wheels, making them more visible, although they do still suffer from the same software disconnecting issues. This layout down here is crisp. I love this. 2 buttons, rotary knob. They do not press in. That was kind of a complaint of mine. They are also very plasticky, wiggly. They work as knobs, they just don't feel super satisfactory, but it is a relatively inexpensive hub. These puppies over here, just like the GT Neo, feel phenomenal, are quiet, nice distinct notch at each step of the way. These little thumb niblets are way too slippery. If you have gloves on, it's not a huge deal. Barehanded, you're gonna be slip sliding off of them. They're also just really small. They do rotate left and right, press in, and have a 4-way D-pad gate like the rest of the Simagic wheels. Buttons do sound a little bit louder. I think that's because of the plastic body up here, but again, no big deal. Speaking of suede, because I simply cannot get enough of the stuff, I did get their track wheel. So Simagic sells 2 hubs. This is their cheaper variant, and they have quite an assortment of wheels that can mount attached to those hubs. So hubs are a great inexpensive option to get a lot of shapes and sizes of wheels. The only inconvenience is you have to unscrew and redo and swap them every time, as opposed to like the GT Neo and GTS over there, where it takes me about 5 seconds to swap one for the other. Paddles, just like the rest of the Simagic wheels, are completely silent, also machined beautifully. Does not come on the wheel. This is the paddle kit, which I, again, just like the shifter and the pedals, is starting to become kind of a fad, a trend here in this video. Cannot recommend enough. The paddle set comes with carbon fiber and metal variants, 2 shapes of each, total of 4 sets, and you do have to install them yourself, but it is very easy. It's 1 plug, you remove 2 screws, a plastic cover comes off, instructions laid out very cleanly. Pogo pins do cosmetically appear different, but it does seat and connect seamlessly the same way as the other wheels. And if you're just trying to kick your way into the Simagic ecosystem and be able to swap shapes and wheels quickly and have a usable hub that doesn't suck meat, this is a great option. So I'm going to give you a quick tour LaFleur of the Sim Pro Manager. This is the latest and greatest version. I mentioned that because a couple of things I'm going to point out, you're going to be thinking, this can't be the current version of the software. You cannot pinch the sides and resize. It also does not snap to any corners, so the Windows optimization isn't the best. You cannot full screen it. And while the wheelbase and all connected accessories do work, I've personally experienced several occasions where the wheelbase will get wonky. Something in the ecosystem will have an issue until I do launch this application in the background. The first tab is a summary of everything that you have connected. The wheelbase, which is always going to be off center by just 1 or 2 degrees, not so much that it's going to throw you off in race, but if you have OCD, you're going to look down and your wheel is going to be slightly off center pretty much every time you connect it. But it is very quick and easy to just hold it straight. Boop. Hold on. Oh, I'm actually 2 degrees off. Bam. Right there. She's good. Now, by clicking on this expand me box, it will take you to devices, and down here at the bottom, you will have all of your connected devices. Furthermore from that, you do have subcategories for accessories plugged in, such as the haptic feedback motors, which I do have one connected to the brake, which we'll be talking about, and then also their lighting, as they do have the ExtremeRate bar, a couple of other RGB accent lights that you can plug directly into the pedal base, which is convenient how that is integrated. So on the summary page, you do have game-specific profiles. I'm a pretty basic girl. I'll just give it to me straight and give it to me hard and nasty is all I say. So I set it to the force feedback that I prefer. I believe last thing I was doing was some rally racing or drifting or something. I have it down at 65, which on all the Alpha Series wheelbases, I would go ahead and just add 1 to 2 Newton meters on the peak torque. So on the Alpha Mini over here, it really does feel like it's in that 11 to 12 Newton meter mark, on par with my Logitech G Pro, which is substantially more expensive and does lack a lot of the granular feedback if you are connecting directly to PC. However, if you're looking for a good console direct drive wheelbase, that's pretty damn hard to beat and will be reviewed in the near future. So they do let you know all of their sponsorships, all of their accolades, which are also touted on the stickers that are pre-installed on your wheelbase. By clicking on any of these game placards, it will also take you to the specific games here, which you can see you have separate presets for your wheelbase wheelbase, your pedals, your wheels, whatever you have connected. So I also have their shifter connected. Of course, there's no profiles for that. It's a shifter. And this is really useful. They do have a game guide showing you how to bind and get up and running with your wheel in common games like Assetto Corsa over here. And if you come over here to the telemetry tab, it shows you the telemetry is working for all this stuff. If not, close the app out fully from the toolbar, relaunch it. You can also refresh. It doesn't seem to do anything, but there's a button. And their FAQs is broken into categories. There should be an S there. It requires new firmware. Pretty simple control of the shifter, which I love. It's going to have its own section in this review, but as you row through the gears, it will show you that here. You can pop it into sequential mode, makes a nice sound for you. And you can sync that up with your paddles. So if you're playing a game or sim that doesn't work with a sequential shifter, you can force compatibility by having it mapped to the paddle shifters of the wheelbase, giving you some in-depth tweaker control, which you do have here. Just click on other effects and it will take you to Samo. Honestly, I've been very satisfied with the out-of-the-box settings, and in that regards, the current firmware that Simagic is running on their wheelbase does a great job of relaying granular detail. If you hover over this question mark for each of these values, it will explain what the hell's happening here. You do not need to hit save as or save anywhere for these changes to take effect. This is just if you want to save a profile somewhere on your PC for a specific game. But if you make these changes and then minimize the app or something, it's going to take effect for you. You do have a hard lock. I generally leave this at 900 because most sims I play max out at 900, then automatically decrease depending on what vehicle you're in. If you're in an F1 car or something, lock to lock. Limit strength is how hard you need to muscle past when you hit that wall of resistance. I leave it at normal and it feels nice. Clicking on this eye indicator for information, it will show you the current voltage to your wheelbase. Big fan of the pedals, and the software does a pretty darn good job of controlling everything. I did mess around with all of these curves in gameplay, or racing, in sim racing, I should say, and it makes a noticeable difference. At the end of the day, I prefer linear, and the force set at 50% of what my maximum press was during the calibration. Along those lines, you will need to calibrate the pedals initially, or at least I did, to get them working. And once you've done that, as hard as you pressed is going to be 100%. These pedals, they have their own section. They're great. There are two sensors for the pedals. Typical load cell, which is measuring the pressure, and then angle or position based, like what you see on some entry-level Logitech pedals like G923, G27. You can grab these dibbly dots and create a custom curve, bring that back to reality, just snap back to linear, or hit revert. Feedback: one of the best devices, accessories in the Simagic ecosystem is their haptic vibrators for the pedals. If you can only buy one, brake makes the most sense by far, and I only engaged brake specific functions such as wheel lockup, wheel slip, and anti-lock brake system. And at first it was pretty damn weak when I was running the test, and in order to run a test, you have to engage the effect and then click on this button over here. Now, clicking on the name itself will bring up this menu, and the strength was down at like 10. I bumped it up to 80. They are a little noisy, but I already have a butt kicker vibrating my rump, wind sim that blows air faster I drive, so I always have a headset in, blocking all that exterior noise out, so this isn't an issue. But if you're using external speakers, then you might want to keep this around the 40 to 50% range, as they do get a little bit noisy. Other than the strength, you can set up a unique feel to the pedals with a frequency of how quickly they judder underneath your foot. Awesome. So how I have it set up, if my wheels lock up and I'm sliding, I want it to just feel like an ice slick, basically. If it's starting to slip just a little bit, I want it to judder under my foot. Press the test. It's rattling a little more than usual, but I think that's like my phone or something. And then ABS. Whenever I engage ABS, I want it to jitter like that. Make sure you hit save. I think that was my issue last time, as I hit X, hit save. So if I did have additional haptic motors, how I would set this up would be RPM feedback and gear shift on the clutch. The throttle doesn't make any sense to me. If you click on this cog icon, you get a little pop-up where you can change from kilograms to percentage in the brake display unit. So when you press down on your brakes, it'll show you percentage or force. And if you want to up that, you have a slider here. 50 is good for me. 100% is how hard I pressed it during the calibration. So if you press even harder than that, that's your new 100%. So I restarted my PC. It's still doing this fun issue where it only recognizes the wheel. Check this out. When I unplug it from the base, That makes sense. Now I can customize it. So you can't adjust the brightness, but when you click on light settings, unlike some other Simagic wheels that I own, you cannot separate your LED tachometer, your shift light, with the rest of the button LEDs, at least not to my knowledge. Caveat it with that. Also, don't be afraid of getting error messages popping up frequently and aplenty at the top. It'll tell you things like you're disconnected from the server. Along the lines of auto starting, if you just have this box for start minimize checked, it won't launch it at all. You have to have this one checked as well. Technically, they should... Whenever I'm burning out from acceleration, I'm getting a bunch of vibration under my brake pedal, which is weird. Okay, that's a little, yeah, that's what I had in mind. Oh, that's freaking sick. Okay, that's cool. You start to get sideways, the wheels are kind of skipping a little bit. It does judder under your foot. That's a little hot lap, shall we? Rolling backwards down the hill. So I do wish they had a little description with a question mark you could hover over and it would explain exactly. I mean, these are obvious, ABS, traction control, but these are not. Wheel lock, wheel slip, because I was thinking wheel slip would be sliding side to side laterally. It's accelerating and burning out, getting vibration into the brake. So now it's useless because this vehicle doesn't have ABS, so whenever I lock up and skid, there's no vibration or feeling there because it's not ABS locking up, jittering like a road car, but I do still want feedback of it sliding, losing traction. I can definitively say wheel slip is the one that is from burnouts, acceleration. So if you don't want that vibration under your brake pedal, which I would want maybe over here in the throttle. I'm not going to spend more time than I need to in this particular section of the video because it is the bad part of the video, the three-way shootout, gun slinging at the corral here. The good being the actual gear itself, the ugly being the software a lot of the times, and some of the weird quality of life things, like not having a power plug on the wheelbase, having to recenter it depending on what game you're playing, and the TB1 handbrake. Quite simply, bang for buck, I don't think stands quite as strong as some of its competitors, like what Moza offers. The bad is going to be that customer support trifecta, that being a warranty and refund policy, a distribution network that's easy for new customers, depending on their region, to find where they should purchase to get the best deal, and that long-term reliability / durability, and how the company's going to handle that in the long run. If you need to make a, I guess, warranty claim past the periodic time frame of the warranty. Feel free to skip ahead in the video if you want my voice all upbeat and chipper and me having a good time with my Simagic gear, but we got to get serious for just a second here. On the surface level, I did encounter a ton of issues. All I typed in was Simagic warranty on Google for my own knowledge as a customer that just spent a hefty amount of coins on the entire ecosystem. I'm going to have this gear and I wanted to know if something breaks, what's going to happen to me. And I found out that most likely what was going to happen to me a couple of years ago was me getting bent over a barrel, not having a good time. I review a lot of tech gadgets, gaming peripherals, proper name, and in every review I have a warranty / customer support section, but it's usually like a 10-second section. Hey, they offer this on their products, and I haven't heard a lot of horror stories, but there is this one particular issue they had a few years ago which seems to have gotten remedied, something like that. A 15-second section, not a multi-minute why is this in the review. I want to preface what I'm about to say by saying Simagic is a relatively new sim racing equipment company being founded in 2018 in comparison to some companies like Moza, which I believe was founded in 2012. Logitech's been around forever, and a lot of these companies were off to a rough start. Okay, you've softly prefaced everything. Now you can just roll right into your rant from yesterday. Still very valid. Simagic does not cover return shipping costs, and a lot of times they will not allow you to return a product, period. I've recently had a lot of time with the Moza R9 wheelbase, the Logitech G Pro ecosystem. Turtle Beach sent out their first wheel for review. Those companies have a pretty much no questions asked return policy to where if you pick up the wrong item or it didn't work with your setup, you can get a return or refund. This should not sound like an abnormal concept if you shop at Walmart or Amazon. You're just kind of used to, I bought something, I did not like it, it didn't meet my expectations, I as a customer would like to return it. Simagic doesn't see things like that, and since they are overseas in, Singapore, you're gonna have to pay a hefty, oftentimes the price of the item you bought in shipping costs to send it back. And that's if they do let you return the item, period. This is in comparison to companies like Logitech, where I recently had to utilize their no questions asked return policy. Hey, I bought the wrong model for my grandson. He needed the PlayStation version and my dumb buns bought the Xbox version. May I please have a refund? They immediately sent me a return label and I've received the cash back. Moza, who stocks their products on Amazon, whether you purchase through their authorized website or a third-party vendor like Amazon, pretty much a no questions asked return policy. If you'd like to hear more stories about what I'm talking about, just do a simple Google search and and you'll find what you're looking for. There are 4 sites, authorized Simagic warehouses that all have different shipping and return policies. It's impossible to compare the price of what you're trying to buy, so you can figure out where am I going to get the best deal, because of the fact that the products are not only priced differently, but also they are bundled differently. For example, the vibration haptic motors for the pedals, which I love, I'm going to talk about that later. Those are sold with the power brick, the power cord, bundled with them on the Simagic site, but need to be purchased separately on the North American vendor, SimShop. And quite a few of the products that you might be looking for, such as the Alpha Mini wheelbase, or maybe some of the RGB accent pieces, are not sold on the SimShop, which is the North American US distributor. And of the 4 websites, places I found that you can buy Simagic gear, the only one that offers free shipping with a certain threshold of money you've spent is SimShop, which is the North American vendor. So if you're not in North America, you're going to be paying shipping for your Simagic gear. And that shipping is not cheap, especially if you're buying a lot of gear. So my personal advice would be to, if you're in North America, go ahead and shop over here at SimShop, but only if you don't want the Alpha Mini wheelbase, as they never stock that. Interesting, they must have changed the website a little bit since the last time I took a peek at her. They now stock some Moza products in here, the R9, that's a good wheelbase. And I am going to cover later when I go over the entire model lineup, the products you can buy from Simagic. They just released a new wheelbase model, Evo. It's got RGB, so you know it's good. So if you do want free shipping and you are in the United States and you're going to spend more than $300, which you probably are, barely any of their equipment is under $300. No promo code needed. You're going to get free shipping. But again, there are products in the Simagic ecosystem which they do not cover. So your logical destination is going to be their official website, where you can read things like the tech specs, perhaps some reviews. Apex over here is labeled as an authorized North American dealer, although keep in mind their official, hey, this is us, North American dealer is called SimShop. They're missing a couple of accessories, but they do have the Alpha Mini wheelbase. The next customer service issue is the fact that I was about to substantially overpay for shipping. I did reach out to Simagic and said, hey, is this right? The cost of shipping is like the same as the purchase price of the gear I'm buying. And they said, ooh, we're having a little glitch, a little error right now. Glad you did not go through with the purchase. But that led me to thinking, how long has that little shipping glitch or error been in effect, and how many customers have been affected by it, and have they been informed? Did they ever get back the extra money that they spent? Things that Simagic is having issues with. A lot of the horror stories that I read are from well over a year ago, and I experienced a lot of the same issues myself, like running into the fact they do not accept returns. No big deal. It's kind of a, you buy it, it's yours forever kind of thing. Fine, no big deal. They have 4 websites that all have different prices, and not just regionally, which would make sense that it would cost more to ship further, but they carry different products in different configurations or bundles, and it makes it very difficult to compare a shopping cart from their different websites and find out where to buy your gear. So the Preparation H summary, how did it feel on the whole? How does it feel on the whole? Owning Simagic equipment, the entire ecosystem, pretty amazing. The entrance into the family, so to speak, was not the smoothest. I feel like Dom Toretto would have welcomed me with open arms and been like, oh, your family. But in order to become part of the family, and to touch back on that topic just one more time, I would have actually paid less in shipping by shopping through the US vendor, but me wanting the Alpha Mini wheelbase, they don't sell it at SimShop, which is out of Dallas, Texas, their North American warehouse. And I put the same items in each cart minus the mini wheelbase. I put the Alpha in there instead because they had a bundle for that. And the prices were not the same for the same products. And I think that was just because of the way they bundle certain things, like the accessory power plug is a $25 separate add-on at the SimShop, but it's included if you buy a haptic motor on the Simagic website. Just little things like that are a little bit head scratching and ass thumping, but once you get the gear, you don't even think about it anymore. I totally forgot it was kind of stressful to buy this stuff. And the more time you spend driving with it, the less you give a damn about how not convenient it was to get. Unless you run into an issue and you need to make a return or engage the warranty policy, which is 1 year. And I hope some of the stories that honestly became trends at that point with how many stories were stacking over warranty and return and customer support, those 3 things, they usually kind of go together. And I genuinely hope that in 2025 it is being handled better because the equipment is top notch. So the customer support should also be on a notch that's near the top, not so much down there. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. right, since I am wearing a shirt, the one I am wearing is one I designed, and that is the first link in the description below, after the description of the video, which you're watching here today. Thank you for watching my review of the Simagic EcoSystem. It's been a pleasure using it and abusing it and talking about it and making a review of it. Hopefully I covered everything that you wanted covered. If I didn't, you have questions, concerns, comments, drop those in the comment section below and I'll get back to you promptly. And thank you. Have a good day. Like and subscribe, please.